Hey guys, so okay, why be a secure creditor? And what is the history of why we need to become a secure creditor? This, hopefully I'll give you enough information so that you can run off, do some research yourself. It's a fascinating topic, and I'll just barely touch the surface of why you need to become a secure creditor. Because at the moment we're all debtors. At the moment we all think like the house you own, the house you're paying off, spending your whole life paying it off, the car you're paying off. If you've paid it off and you've got a mortgage, you've paid off your house and you think you own them, you do not. In fact, in law, you do not. In the legal system, you do not own them. In fact, you have at least 2 birth certificates. One birth certificate turns you into debtor, and one turns you, one is your creditor. Private's to do with private and public. What you need to do is claim back your birth certificate, tell the powers that be, tell the commercial world that in fact you are still alive, because your birth certificate actually turned you into a dead corporation, a fiction, a debtor, whereby you died without a will. So you need to go and claim what is yours. You need to claim back your birth certificate and tell everybody that you're alive, you're not lost at sea. Now, this is requires some research. See here, Joanna Johnston. Now, that's her name. Is she's got married since then, and she's now actually Joanna Wales, W-A-I-L-S. Still the same awesome lady. Whether it's Wales or Johnston. This is one of her videos, but main thing she does is she goes into all this. She teaches you all about the birth certificate, what happened, what the whole system was set up to basically deceive you, even though the people who set it up will say that it was not to deceive you, because they left basically the way to get out of this, although you have to do a lot of research to get out of it. And in fact, your birth certificate is a bond, a security bond. So what is the history behind all this? Well, I'm going to show you a bit of that, so you can go and do research. Now, Joanna actually teaches how to become, and that's the main reason why I'm doing this video, is that she teaches how to become a secure creditor. And because even your children are classed as property, and this is why people, the government departments can basically come along and take your children, for not getting vaccines, etc. Why can they do that? Because your children are classed as property, mainly because you've become a dead corporation and a fiction, and because you're a fiction and a dead corporation, and they're looking after your estate, your trust, they own everything in the trust, which is all property basically, property, chattels, etc. They've got actual title to everything that you think you own. Now look, I know I'm going all over the place here. It is a extremely intricate and long and complex story. That is why. But the first thing you need to do is to claim back. You need to do some research first and foremost, but when you're ready to be a secure creditor and basically write what has become, all the wrongs that have happened since your birth certificate, Druanna Wales teaches everything. Now, everything I'm going over today will basically be in this course here. The Ambassador Secure Creditor entry-level course, $47. So you can learn all this for $47. Now you can pay literally thousands for all educations. You can get master's degrees, PhDs. You will never be taught any of this. You will never be taught how to correct what has happened. $47, I would say that $47 is probably equivalent to, at least, if you consider what you don't learn in the universities and schools, I would say that what you'd learn there for $47. What you'd do is you'd do that, then you'd jump over and she'll teach you the process, and there are many levels to it. She teaches you how to discharge instruments. She teaches you the forensic investigation course. The forensic investigation course by itself can usually get rid of anybody who's asking you for a debt. Now, why is Druanna successful when not many others are? Simple reason is she follows the process that you were meant to follow, and she does it in basically a non-aggressive, non-belligerent, non-defensive, non-argumentative way. Okay? There's a maximum law that says we have to stay in honor. And as long as you stay in honor and do everything commercially in honor, that is why she has such good success. And if you don't think she doesn't, people say she's a scam. People say she's a scam because those people are jealous. They're not prepared to. Because you do have to have courage to do this, and people who say it's a scam are not prepared to, do the research or to have the courage to do this. But she does have many testimonials.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
That one there, I'll just turn that off so you can. Here's one. She's got many testimonials.
Just look up to two awesome testimonial.
That one there, one of her students paid off $12,000 debt with I think that might have been just using the forensic investigation one. There's another one here. One of her students paid off big child support debt. Now, before anybody says, well, if you loan something and then they're your kids, you have to pay for them. That's true, absolutely true. What we're saying here is when the child support, for whatever reason, has gotten out of hand, and it's way more than is necessary, or it's in a lot of cases the child support is not fair, basically. Now, people say, well, you should pay off your student loan. or student loan, or because they loaned you. No, in fact, when you look into it, that's why after you do research, you'll find out they loaned you nothing. What happens is you create a promissory note with your signature. So you create the money, then they give you back your money, and you have to pay them back your own money with interest. Strange but true. Okay, so let's have a look how some of this all began. How did this all become about? Now that itself is a long story. I'll just touch on it. In America in 1933, there was a thing called the House Joint Resolution 192. What is House? Before HO was passed, executive order was signed in effect by President Roosevelt. This executive order required all gold and gold certificates to be surrendered to the government. So all gold was surrendered to the government, and in exchange for that, the government, all debts were then prepaid. So this is why you cannot pay a debt, because all debts are prepaid. Okay, that's one part of the equation. So what is the whole system that was set up to deceive us, with the birth certificates, etc.? One part of this deception is known as the glossa. So all legal documents, and indeed your birth certificate, have now I suggest you go and study this channel. Go and study two guys, what they've put out, Romley Stewart and Rowan Lorian. Okay, study what they go over how you're deceived to not know about this, about your birth certificate, what's happened with your birth certificate, and House Joint Resolution, etc. But mainly your birth certificate. There's a thing called legalese, which is all legal documents, government documents. They found out all legal documents, government documents are basically null and void because they contain a thing, among other things, I'm only going to go into one, called a glossa, which is your all caps. If you look on your anything you've registered, like your driver's license, etc., your name is all in capitals, and this is called known as the glossa. It's a sign language. Because it's a sign language, your name is well, like a trademark. Your name is a name mark. Now, basically, this is how they keep up the deception, and that's it, so that that in their mind legalize it. But he found out that the glossa actually makes all legal documents null and void, because it's actually a sign language. Now, to learn about the history and how you were deceived, I highly suggest you go and study up this channel, Justinian Deception. He goes over what happened, how it happened, how it's continuing to happen. Okay, hidden system, travel, the birth certificates, maybe start with that one. The perfect crime, remedy within the world of the dead, because of the system, this Justinian deception, we are all classed as being dead. So go and study this, deceived into consent, the presumption of law. It's an excellent channel, probably one of the best out there. So these guys are another people that go into what has happened, the deception that has happened, why we're all the debtors, and in fact we own nothing. And then Joanna helps you to become the secured creditor again, and back to how it meant was meant to be when they signed House Joint Resolution 192, when everybody handed over their gold to the federal government, and this happened worldwide. Everybody handed over their gold to the government in exchange for everything being paid off. Now, I'll just play this. Hopefully I've got time, and hopefully you'll be able to hear it. I'll just play this. And listen to what he says at the end. He's about secure creditor and debtor.
The Justinian deception is a system that removes the public from the public domain into the private contracts of Rome, and therefore, in order to forego justice. So, in short, all the rights, common law rights that a person has from the public, if they enter into the private laws of Rome, the private contracts of Rome, they will lose all their God-given rights to common law justice and will be subjected to just the contracts and statutes of Rome. So that's what the Justinian deception is, and it's the hidden system that deceives you from going from public to private. It's a deception.
And it dates back to Emperor Justinian
in 530 to 560, roughly, AD, and he created a thing called the Corpus Juris, which is the language or the speaking or the jurisdiction of the dead. So therefore, what he did, in order to bring living men under with no rights, he legally killed or illegally sacrificed the children at birth. That's what birthing is all about. A man is born into existence, but is birthed into a form of legal death. And once you've been birthed into legal death and you remain there, then a dead man has no rights. So what the Justinian deception does is attaches the living man to a dead thing. And then once the attachment is made, the dead account is what is attacked by the government. And while the living man is attached to the dead account, it is assumed that the living man is dead.
And I know that in our conversations, our many conversations over the months, you've repeatedly drawn attention to that document called the birth certificate. You've even opened our eyes to the fact that there are several versions of it. Not two people identified on the one document, but several versions of the document recording the day or date when a person left their mother's surrogacy.
Well, there's even a church birth certificate, and it's different again, but it's the same. It gives you your Christian name, the date of birth of it. It's just like a state birth certificate, but it's one that's filed in the church. And in my case, because I was born when the Church of England Church was still in Australia, I think just after 73, the Unitary Treaty of Rome, the Church of England Church became the Anglican Church, which is under the control of the Vatican. So all of my records were taken from St. John's Church of England Church. It became the Vatican-owned church, and my records were sent to Townsville. So there's another birth certificate there, but you're right, the birth certificates are the things that have legally set up the trust. That's why in general in the government there are two birth certificates. One is a creditor and one is a debtor. And it's where you stand within those two certificates that governs whether or not you're the debtor or the creditor of the government. So that's how it works.
So there you go, guys. Now, so once you learn all this, if you want to right the wrongs, right the deception, Drew Anna Wales will teach you how to become a secure creditor again. Write this big deception that has gone on and made you a debtor. And I would start with this, $47, and you'll learn everything I've told you and more. And you'll learn how to correct the wrong that is being put upon everybody. You'll learn how to become a secure creditor and in fact own everything that you do have, and much more. How to get out of debt, because you cannot pay off debts, because there was never a debt created in the first place. I'll leave the links for Joanna's courses down below in the description.